shows what happens when you search for username 666 on YouTube and then refresh the page a couple of times. This pasta has actually created few rumors, one of which of the original account of username 666 that contains viruses that would change all text into sixes. If you search a couple more times, the background turns hellish and the videos become creepy. If you click on one of the videos, you won't be able to close, back up, pause, or shut down your computer. It works, but sometimes it contains creepy viruses. If you're willing to take the risk of letting it into your system, that's fine, but if it messes up your computer bad, just be careful because it can also affect other web pages. Zalgo. Zalgo is an internet legend about an ominous entity believed to cause insanity, death, and destruction of the world. Zalgo is somewhat a symbol of gore and dismemberment on the internet. Zalgo is also associated with scrambled text on web pages and photos of people whose eyes and mouths have been covered in black. Zalgo uses childish cartoons and comic strips to corrupt them into hellish forms of art. Zalgo would use emails, message boards, and forums to lure in victims of users searching for Zalgo. The users would find disturbing images. The more you search, the more graphic the images get. It is said that the original image of Zalgo is so toxic that the user can become influenced to carry out Zalgo's work here on Earth. Just watch out. Lost episode. In 1985, there were two friends. One was called Sid, who was slightly handicapped from a young age. Sid had a passion for cutting videotapes since his father showed him how to operate machines. That passion soon grew into obsession, where he would cut the end of his father's wedding video and replace them with other happy endings. Years passed, and he chose a more darker side of his creative ability rather than the happy side he once had. Sid needed more room to experiment and expand his collection, so he used his parents' garage. It was said that there were various pieces of drawings and homemade animation found at Sid's house, but these were not ordinary images. Drawings such as a dancing headless body were plastered all over the walls of the garage. It wasn't until 4 years later that Sid's friend tried to contact him. He already tried to visit Sid's house before, but that was years later. Upon entry, his friend described the house as barren, with graffiti and overgrown weeds all over the walls. When he ventured into the house to find Sid, he found the remains of Sid's parents under that bed. Sid was found in the same garage used to cut tape, sat in an office chair with wires and tape connected to his body from the television. The body of Sid seemed rotten with decay. The stench was unbearable. It was almost like Sid was trying to recreate the greatest piece he ever done. Russian sleep experiment. Russian researchers in the 1940s conducted a test on 5 people. This test was to keep 5 subjects awake for 15 days using an experimental gas. They put the 5 in a room with enough materials to survive for the next few weeks. In the first few days, the men were showing normal vitals, but after the 5th day, they began to get paranoid. They ceased talking to each other and began to whisper quietly into the microphones. The men became totally insane. One of them even died in the chamber. The other men were in terrible condition. The researchers took them out after 15 days and conducted different tests on them. The researchers eventually agreed to put them back into the chamber with 3 other researchers to study the further effects from the gas. In a swift motion, one of the researchers grabbed the gun off the commanding officer and shot him, as well as one of the 2 remaining surviving subjects. He pointed the gun at the last surviving subject and demanded to know what he was. The test subject responded,
"Have you forgotten so easily? We are you. We are the madness that lurks in you all, begging to be free in the deepest animal mind. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate in silence and paralyze when you go into that nocturnal haven where we cannot tread.
He's then shot by the researcher, and the subject's last words were,
"So, nearly free."
Gateway of the Mind. In 1983, a team of scientists theorized that a human without any of his five senses would be able to perceive the presence of God. They thought the five senses clouded our awareness of eternity, and without them we could contact God. The test was conducted on elderly men that had nothing left to live for. They cut off the sensory nerve connection to the brain. 2 days later, a man claimed that he could hear his dead wife speak to him. Scientists found this interesting, but weren't convinced, until he began to name dead relatives of the scientists and their personal information. After a full week of having many dead people's voices in his head, the man became distressed and was on the verge of insanity. He began hurting himself and asking for sedatives to fall asleep to stop the voices. Sleeping worked for 3 days until he began to receive severe night terrors and hearing the deceased in his dreams. 2 days the man could no longer form regular sentences and was classified as completely insane. He was then tied to a table to prevent suicide and began crying. This kept up for 2 weeks. During one study session, the man turned his head and focused one eye on the scientist. For the first time in the study, even though it was believed he was blind, he said, "I have spoken to God and he has abandoned us." Then his vitals stopped and he dropped dead. Jeff, the killer. Jeff was a little boy that moved to a new home. The day he moved, his mother invited him to a birthday party. When him and his brother Louis were waiting at the bus stop, 3 teenagers attacked them. He tried to stick up by retaliating and got satisfaction from doing it. Jeff and Louis fled the scene. It so happened their parents found out. Jeff and Louis refused to tell them about the teenagers that attacked them first, so Louis takes the blame and gets sent to juvie. Jeff later attends the party. The teenagers show up. One of them sets Jeff on fire and later wakes up in the hospital. Once the bandages are taken off, his family become afraid and sorry for him. It was only later on the teenagers confessed it was them who attacked Jeff and Louis first, so Louis gets released from juvie. Meanwhile, their mother is crying in the bathroom. She enters the room and Jeff's appearance is morbid. He's burned and has cut off his own eyelids so he can never sleep, and carved his mouth so he'd always smile. His mother runs from the room and tells her husband to get the gun. Jeff sees this and gets violent and kills her, and then kills the dad. Jeff was later seen running away from the house to never be seen again. Legend has it, Jeff is still out there. The last thing a person hears before he kills them is, "Shush. Go to sleep."
Thanks guys for watching, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I have to give a massive shout out to Tats Top Videos for most of the clips. They're absolutely amazing people. Make sure to subscribe to them because they have the original content of the Creepypastas. And a massive shout out to one of my friends on Instagram. Her name's It's Kitty Kel, and I can't express enough how talented she is. So make sure to go over to Instagram and give her a like. I also want to mention some of the amazing people that helped me with the music of this video. NCM for just their free music, they're absolutely amazing people. And Ross Bugden, the Stranger Things remix that you hear now, absolutely amazing guy. Make sure to check their channels, all the links will be in the description below. If I forgot to mention you in this video, make sure to either comment or message me and I'll put you in the description. So yeah, anyway guys, hopefully everyone had a happy Halloween, and yeah, keep spooky.